Greetings, colleagues. How in the world are you doing? Let's talk about helping our students to speak in a connective and effective way. Let's help these youngsters sound more like post-secondary power people. Let's introduce them to Paraphrase Plus. Paraphrase Plus is a tool that I use with my students to summarize the great thinking in They Say, I Say, Gerald Grath and Kathy Birkenstein's masterpiece. I tell my students that using just this small set of moves, you can enter into any conversation that you have in school or outside of it and sound like you know something. The tool's really simple. First, you paraphrase what someone else has said in the conversation, and then you select from three options. Option one, you can agree with what you've just paraphrased and add onto it with your own thinking. Option two, you can disagree with what you've just paraphrased and then add reasoning for your disagreement. Or option three, you can complicate what you've just paraphrased, which is typically done by asking a question or pointing out a shortcoming. I introduced this tool to my students in the fall of each year for two main reasons. Number one, by now we've had some pop-up debates where all of them have spoken in response to a prompt, and they've started to see there's a lot of silo speaking going on. This is when one student stands up, shares their answer to the prompt, and then another student does the same thing, and another. But it's as if all of these are little idea silos. They're not connected. It's less of a web than it is just a bunch of dots. So Paraphrase Plus helps us to connect those dots. The second reason I introduce it at this point in the year is because it's such a great scaffold. Many students in my ninth grade classes don't feel confident speaking in an academic or professional way. And that's an appropriate area to be uncertain in as a ninth grader. This is an age where you're learning how to enter into these conversations that adults have. And so these sentence templates make it very clear for my students how to enter into these conversations. They've got the ideas. The sentence templates don't give them the ideas, but it gives them the vehicles through which, the means through which they can frame those ideas and feel proud about what they've done. Here, in my opinion, is the best way to introduce Paraphrase Plus. First, you want your students to articulate that they're noticing this silo speaking phenomenon. Call it whatever you want. They don't use that language. I give that to them after they say things like, a lot of us are repeating ourselves. A lot of us aren't referencing anyone else when we speak. The best way to get this kind of epiphany from your kids is to ask them consistently after each pop-up debate, what did we do well as a group and what could we do better? Asking that question will pretty quickly drum up this problem of silo speaking. And when they bring it up, tell them, well, hey, I'm glad you mentioned that because there's a tool that I've been eager to introduce to you. The next time that we do whole class discussion, I'm going to do that. And then follow through on your promise. Before you start your next pop-up debate, have them get out a fresh page of their spiral notebook, and while you write out Paraphrase Plus on the board in front of them, have them do the same thing. So I like to draw it as speech bubbles, kind of like this graphic that you're seeing on the screen. But I don't print this out for them because I want us all to think about these four moves and how they relate to each other as we are writing them down. So it's about a 5 to 10 minute process of taking these notes as a class. Man the document camera, them in their spiral notebooks. Next, tell them in today's pop-up debate, I want you to try to use these moves. And then kick off the pop-up debate, let a few kids speak, because the first kids can't use Paraphrase Plus really because there's not much to paraphrase. But after one or two people speaks, then have the students all pause as a whole class and write out a response that paraphrases what someone in the class has said and then either agrees with it with additions, disagrees with reasons, or complicates it. Do that pausing periodically throughout this pop-up debate where you're first rolling out Paraphrase Plus. Look over the shoulders of your students as they're writing. Give them live feedback as they stand up and try the move. And typically doing this, you can have a pop-up debate that takes, let's say, 30 minutes, and your students are going to be much further ahead with the use of the tool. After that, you can continue to bring it back to their attention. You can stand up during the pop-up debate and model the use of Paraphrase Plus yourself. You can call it out when you're seeing it happen well. And you can make public service announcements when you're starting to see the kids slipping back into silo speaking. If you do these things, you're going to get just as much bang for your buck from Paraphrase Plus as I have during the many years that I've used it. And do me a favor, if you have used it, let me know in the comments so that I can enjoy your stories of success. All right, colleague, I'll see you next time. Cheers.